Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnuhu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and good evening from Niagara Falls. The many does not affect the one. The many does not affect the one. Examples of this are, we're all looking at many objects, but our pair of eyes are a pair of eyes. These objects do not affect our eyes. When we see a yellow wall or a clear glass of water, my eyes are still my eyes. If you go deeper, the condition of my eyes does not affect my one mind. If my eyes are dry, if my eyes are watery, this does not affect my one mind. If you go deeper, the many thoughts of the mind, if we continue with this example, the many thoughts of the mind cannot affect that which is bringing light to the mind, that which is illuminating the mind, the spirit. Objects don't affect eyes, eyes don't affect mind, mind doesn't affect the spirit. This simple teaching, most logical, is an example of learning how to think. More important than what to think is how to think. And our Bhagavad Gita course is an ideal forum on learning how to think. This is being emphasized in chapter 18, where Bhagavan Krishna is teaching all of us our evolution is going to be facilitated through knowledge. We will grow in our potential by knowledge and not by karma. Most people who have never learned how to think, they only know what to think, they feel that the key to whatever the purpose of their life is karma. But Bhagavan is saying here, for one who has learned how to think, they know that the only purpose is happiness, and to reach happiness, one has to have knowledge of happiness. Now, we've been exposed to this knowledge of happiness for 49 classes, for years, for decades. If this knowledge is not having the impact on our lives that this knowledge is supposed to, it's because we don't have enough knowledge of karma even. And so throughout chapter 18, Bhagavan Krishna is taking us from the inside out of karma, what we're already oriented towards. A couple of weeks ago, Bhagavan took karma and magnified this 10 times for us. And he said in every karma, there's a karta, there's a karana, there's a cheshta, adhisthana, and daiva. Last week, he took karma, that which we're habituated to doing, and magnified this 100 times. He shared that the genesis of our karma begins with drishti, or vision. This is inside. This expresses more as karma, or purpose. This expresses more as karta, or attitude. The deeper my vision is, the deeper my purpose will be. And my purpose will naturally affect my attitude. If I don't really care for why I'm in this course or speaking to someone, my attitude is going to be small then. The karta will then manifest more as the buddhi, or understanding. This is almost like the fuel while I'm acting. So I may have this attitude going into action, and now I'm acting. What is my understanding of that action? If you take a marriage where understanding is lost, then that marriage begins to falter. But if our understanding is there, that marriage is insulated. And finally, this expresses most as dhriti, or commitment. I may have the understanding of this action, but it's hard. There are challenges. One who has dhriti, or commitment, they will treat these challenges as training and not as problems. Only when we have the knowledge of karma 10 times, 100 times, then does our karma become meaningful. And when our karma becomes meaningful, then knowledge becomes powerful. But if karma is meaningless, then we will keep on being exposed to knowledge, but it'll only feel like information. When I have this 10 times, 100 times understanding, this leads to sukha. The outermost expression after dhriti is sukha, or happiness. And people who know little about karma, their happiness is little. Those who know more, that's like rajasic sukha. Those who know the most, they're following these teachings, their sukha is sattvic. In the beginning hard, in the end easy. Bhagavan is continuing his display of love for us by coming to our level. This is what we're used to, is acting, and we all know that Prince Arjuna is going to have to act. So Bhagavan is giving him these techniques, how to think about all of this. 18.14 to 18.18. Introducing this. All of us are suffering from a crisis. What crisis are we suffering from? Water crisis? Financial crisis? Some are suffering from a water crisis. Those near the Great Lakes are not. Financial crisis. Those who own real estate are not. What we are all suffering from is an identity crisis. We think we know who we are, and we're right as long as our equipments are limited. This is our only understanding of life. But when someone knows that they're more than the equipments, they may not have that clarity, but they feel that there's more. When they go deeper past those equipments, that crisis starts to be transcended. And Bhagavan showed us this when he talked about the karta. Nowhere in these factors was Atman, or self. That's a crisis. No, I think I'm the doer, when there's a whole other aspect of who I am. And this has to be brought out in our vision. The vision that there's more to life than meets the eye. So we're suffering from an identity crisis, and Bhagavan Krishna is taking us deeper. So here's where he takes us now. He shares that every one of us is born with a varna. What does varna mean? Colors. We are born with colors. And not the pigment of our skin, but the texture of our mind. Some of us are more dark inside, tamasic. Some of us are more light inside, sattvic. We're all born with all of the colors, but predominantly we are one color. We've studied this throughout Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavan says, you can change your colors. Like people can change the color of their hair now, right? How many of you have dyed your hair before? My observation with generations, I get to see a generation above, my generation, a generation below, is that people are dyeing their hair sooner and sooner and sooner. True? You can change your hair color. You can make it lavender, you can make it fire red. You can change your skin color. There's fair and handsome, fair and lovely. There's so much changing of colors outside. Bhagavan is saying you can change your colors inside too. An angry person can become patient, a patient person can become angry. And this is a fine thought because our understanding of Varna is that this is a caste. We are cast like a mold. Who we are is who we are. And Bhagavan says, no, you can change. And to facilitate this change, one should know their swabhava. Swabhava is who they are deeper than the body. They're touching the mind, but they're going deeper than the mind too. More along the lines of the intellect and ego. Past the body sheath and breath sheath. Deeper. The more one knows their swabhava, who they are, even in a relative way, the more they know what their dharma is to be. The more they know what their dharma is to be. It's like a decisive person when it comes to food. A foodie is never indecisive. They know what they like and they know what they don't like. They're decisive. Someone who loves what they do, they're also decisive. They're not swayed by, oh, that person's doing that, or jealousy in another way. The more we know our swabhava, the more we know our dharma. And when this swabhava and dharma are matched, this is known as sattva. Okay, here's another framework, okay? When swabhava and dharma are matched, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing. This is my role, this is my responsibility. When they're matched, that is known as sattva. The feeling of sattva is that you grow inside and you grow outside. There's peace and there's prosperity, if these are matched. So how do I know what my dharma is, my responsibilities? By knowing my swabhava, my role. If these are mismatched, this is my swabhava, this is my dharma, or this is my swabhava, this is my dharma. When these are mismatched, what this feels like is not growth, but conflict. There's conflict inside, there's conflict outside. Conflict of, I don't know why I'm in this relationship or I'm in this job. And then whatever's inside is going to come out, correct? How can I be happy in a relationship I feel like is not right for me? Conflict. And when there's not a mismatch, but no match, okay, there's 100% match, 50% match, zero match, that is known as tamas. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. There is harm inside and outside. Another way to think of this is himsa. There's no sensitivity to who I am, and naturally I'm not going to be sensitive to who you are then. Everyone's understanding this, okay? Bhagavan gives us another framework now. This matching of swabhava and dharma to help facilitate this. Imagine this is the depth of Swabhava and Dharma, to get there, maybe too hard for me to be there, so let me come up a bit. He says that the reason you're engaged in a dharma will bring a equivalent reward. Why I'm acting, my reason, is going to equal my reward. So here's the framework for this. Someone who's engaged in dharma, I'm starting with tamas here. From a tamasic perspective, someone who's engaged in dharma for prosperity, their reason is prosperity, their reward will be prosperity, and that's it. Tamasic. More evolved than this is from a rajasic perspective, the reason for them engaging in dharma is purity. Purity. They want to be more calm. They want to be more cheerful. Okay? From a sattvic perspective, the reason for them engaging in dharma is more than prosperity, more than purity, but it is peace. Why they go to work, why they're engaged in relationships, why they're in this course is peace. And remember, if you get prosperity, you only get prosperity. If you get purity, prosperity is included. If you get peace, prosperity and purity are both included in peace. And Bhagavan introduces another element here. He says there's an even greater reason than peace. And if you remember what I shared last week, as chapter 18 goes on, there's a shift from jnana to karma, karma to bhakti. Bhagavan says the highest reason to engage in dharma is love. Why am I trying to understand my swabhava? Why am I engaged in dharma? Love. Love for God. Love for self. And my reward naturally is love then. The word used is bhakti here. So Bhagavan is trying to help us understand our swabhava. He's talked about varna. He's talked about matching our swabhava with our dharma, the reason and reward. And Bhagavan leaves no detail alone. He says, as you engage in karma, you are going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt the people around you. You're going to hurt animals. You're going to hurt plants. You're going to hurt stones. Because karma is limited. That which is limited cannot encompass all. If you act in a certain way, I don't like it. You don't act in a certain way, I like it. Right? Each person is different in that way. So Bhagavan says, as you're trying to know your swabhava, follow your dharma, practice makes paradise. In our Atma Bodha course, this was one of the sutras. We always hear about practice makes perfect, which is fine. The sutra we picked up on was practice makes paradise. As you're practicing, you feel more and more free. And as that practice becomes natural, it's like being at rest. That dharma is no longer involving effort. It is effortless. So Bhagavan is saying practice. You will hurt people. This is hard. Keep practicing. And Bhagavan gives us one more insight into how karma is limited and there is going to be harm. Engage in the attitude of acceptance. The attitude of acceptance, which means my swabhava may be rajasic, but the dharma that Bhagavan is given me, the circumstance I'm placed in is sattvic. I should accept that and try my best. See, that's why that first point was shared, is practice. Do your best. Then leaving the rest will be easy. And Swami Tejomayananda highlights Acharya Bhishma. Acharya Bhishma is not sattvic. He's not shuddha sattvic. He's vishuddha sattvic. He is the purest of the pure, but he was placed in a rajasic environment, no? being with the Kauravas. He naturally would have wanted to be with Bhagwan the entire time. And the greatness of Acharya Bhishma is physically he was with the Kauravas, but mentally he was with the Pandavas, specifically Bhagwan Krishna. Our Vishnu Sahasranama. Today we had a challenging day, Sheila and I. We engaged in Vyasa's Chudakarana. We shaved his head today, and it was tough. It hurts, right? I've shaved my head so many times and it hurts, and he doesn't know. So before we started all of this, we chanted Vishnu Sahasranama. And Vishnu Sahasranama is the experience of enlightenment. When Yudhishthira asked this simple question to Acharya Bhishma, tell me, how should I be a good king, a big king? And Acharya Bhishma starts chanting Bhagwan's names because he's free. Now he's stuck from that circumstance of the Kauravas, correct? He's free. That is enlightenment. What I'm sharing here is engage in the attitude of acceptance. And we have great role models like that. Vibhishana is another role model, no? And on and on and on. Okay. 1819 to 1823. How this chapter began is with Prince Arjuna asking Bhagwan Krishna. Suddenly he's saying, I know I have to let go. Me holding on to my ego is what has caused my cracking. I know I have to let go to rebuild myself. But I want to know, how do I let go? Tell me this in detail. And thus far, Bhagwan has shared, Tyaga leads to sannyasa. Tyaga is the means, sannyasa is the ends. Tyaga is practicing non-doership, inaction. Sannyasa is non-doership, inaction. This is a very important point because when we began this chapter, I had shared some people's interpretations as to what sannyasa is. Bhagwan is sharing here. He's completing the portion on karma and shifting to bhakti. Action is fundamental. So one has to act, but the vision, the attitude, etc., 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 should be one of non-doership. Tyaga brings about a calmness to the body, a quietude to the mind, and a stillness to the intellect. You will know that you're engaged in tyaga, that you're a tyagi. When you tell the body to be calm, the body is calm. When you tell the mind to be quiet, the mind is quiet. When you tell the intellect to be still, the intellect is still. Calm, quiet, still. Only with these qualifications. The evolution of this is samadhi. We studied this word before, specifically in the Advanced Vedanta course. Sam means well. A means fully. And D means placed. Well and fully placed. What should be well and fully placed? That which is causing restlessness, the ego. When the ego is well and fully placed in the spirit, that is sannyasa. Now, I'm going to add a detail into sannyasa here that you should know about. There's many types of sannyasa. You should know about two types. The sannyasa that Bhagwan Krishna talks about, is teaching about, is called Vidvat sannyasa. Vidvat means one has let go of the ego. And letting go of the ego means one is enlightened. So Vidvat sannyasa is when you are enlightened, and so out of formality, you take sannyasa diksha. And why I'm saying out of formality? Because you're already enlightened. Whether you take sannyasa diksha or not, it doesn't matter. And a fantastic example of this is Yajnavalkya Rishi. He's enlightened, and then he tells his wife, Maitri, that I would like to go to the jungle. And if she says no, no problem. But she's great too. She says we'll go together. Vidvat sannyasa. It is rare, rare, rare to come across such a sannyasi. These are people like Sri Ramana, like Pujya Swami Tapovanam. The other type of sannyasa is known as Vividisha sannyasa. Vividisha sannyasa is where one wants to renounce the ego. One wants to be enlightened. So they formally take sannyasa to bring in an environment that will facilitate this, that will help this. Most of the sannyasa we're exposed to is Vividisha sannyasa. All right? So I'm separating this is because Bhagavan is not talking about sannyasa as a means. He's talking about sannyasa as the ends. Other types of sannyasas come since then. Coming back to Tyaga, because Tyaga is what we need to engage in right now. Non-doership, inaction. If one is not engaged in Tyaga, then one will also not be engaged in Kshaya. Kshaya, and I'll elaborate on what this means. When Bhagavan Rama asks Vibhishana, he says, how have you been living in Lanka? And Vibhishana tells Bhagavan Rama, Lanka is worse than Naraka. Living in Lanka is worse than living in hell. And the reason for that, if one is in hell there's Papa Kshaya. In other words, in hell you exhaust your negativities, you exhaust your demerits and come back to our plane. It's like a laundry machine, a dishwasher. And Lanka's not like that because, and one more point here, in Naraka you cannot incur more papa. You can only exhaust. You cannot go deeper into hell. But in Lanka is known as Kala Mandali. Kala Mandali, it's a machine of negativity. It's a web of dusanga. Lanka is like a Kala Mandali because there you can incur more sin. There you don't even know you're sinning. There's no reformation. So for us, if we are not careful about practicing non-doership in action, we will not evolve. All of the vasanas we've come with will stay. In fact, we will incur more vasanas. That's living in Naraka. Here, I keep calling Niagara Falls Swarga, but if I'm living meaninglessly, then I'm actually living in Naraka. And this environment had nothing to do with it. Now, if there is Tyaga, I am practicing this because Bhagavan has taught me 10 magnification, 100 magnification. He's gone into 1,000 magnification in this portion of chapter 18, saying, know your swabhava, know your dharma, know the reason and reward for your karma. If there's Tyaga, there will also be kripa. Kripa means grace. No Tyaga, no Kshaya. There is Tyaga, there is kripa. Bhagavan is so close to finally telling Prince Arjuna that the only way that you can be free, the only way for Vidvat Sannyasa, letting go of the ego, is through kripa, through Bhagavan's grace. A way you will know that Bhagavan's grace has come into your life is when you feel more hopeful. Hope is a solid sign of Bhagavan's kripa. When someone doesn't feel that hope, they're forgetting the presence of God. Hope. Ask yourself, do you feel more hopeful after 49 detailed insights into Bhagavad Gita? And now begins what Puja Swami Tejomayananda has shared as the most fascinating part of Srimad Bhagavad Gita begins now. To think that we've studied so much already. We've studied 675 shlokas, and now the most fascinating part of Srimad Bhagavad Gita begins. Bhagavan Krishna tells Prince Arjuna, he says, Vimrishya etat asheshena. Vimrishya means reflect. Etat means on what I've taught for the past 675 shlokas. Asheshena means fully. Reflect on what I have shared fully. Yatha ichasi tata kuru. And what you feel is right, you should do that. See, the Upadesha is being completed now. I've shared what I've shared. Now what you feel is right, you should do. Bhagavan is giving Prince Arjuna this privilege because now Prince Arjuna is ready. All of the previous shlokas we've studied, he wasn't ready, so he had to teach him. It's like a good salesperson will educate you into why you should buy what they're selling, correct? They have to educate you to say yes. Bhagavan educated Prince Arjuna into being ready to make this decision himself. This is like a fast-forward Gurukula, correct? In a Gurukula, you study for 12 years, now you're ready to make your own decisions. For those 12 years, you didn't make any decisions. All decisions were made for you, but you're learning how to think. Prince Arjuna has gone through the Gurukula twice now. So Bhagavan is feeling Prince Arjuna is ready, but then he follows up and says, Ishtaha asi me dridam iti. Ishtaha means like, love. Asi me dridam. I deeply like you. I deeply love you. Dridam means firmly. Tataha vakshami te hitam. So I'm going to share with you again. I'm going to give you another insight into life. Almost like, my younger sister was just here, and now she went home, and my mother packed all of this food for her, and as she was leaving, and then she went and got a little bit of more food and said, take this too. And Bhagavan says, Prati jane priyaha asime. You should know how much I love you. You should know that whatever you decide, I am with you. You should know wherever you go, I am there too. The most fascinating part of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is not where Prince Arjuna is expressing his love to Bhagavan, but Bhagavan is expressing his gratitude to Prince Arjuna. This is a fantastic expression of unconditional love. Narayana.